Hi there, it's Mel Curtis from SitePoint here. I'm going to show you a little hack on how to decrease your Rails startup time that answers a couple of questions that came up during the Talk with the Experts Rails session that was run yesterday. This hack is in response to questions regarding horror stories about deployment and also just general performance increases that you can get from Rails. I've got a basic Rails app here. This is the standard config/application.rb that you get with a new Rails project. And what's happening here is Bundler is requiring any of the gems in the default group and any of the gems in the current Rails environment. So when we see our gem file, often in here we'll see groups added to specific gems. So by default, all gems are in the default group unless they're given an explicit group, but you can apply a group here, it might be development, or often you'll actually see it as a block, like so. So that means that moustache gem would only be loaded in development, as we see in here. However, require is actually pretty heavy. It's actually loading all of the files for that gem. So what we can do instead is change how we do it and only require things in our actual code when it's needed. So we can change this to setup, and in here we can just say set up all the groups. So we'll splat rails.groups, and that's just going to return an array of all the different parameters through to that. So it'll set up all of those groups, and it won't auto-load those gems. You will need to require it. So for example, if you were going to use moustache, you need to do require moustache. Now that doesn't actually always work perfectly, because what you'll find there is that there are quite a few gems that need to auto-load during the configuration initialization phase, simply because they hook into Active Record or something else similar to that. So they need to be run at runtime. So what we can do is we can actually set up some groups which we want to auto-load. For example, we could have group auto-load, and then back in our application.rb we could, after this, say bundler.require auto-load. So now it's going to automatically load any of those gems which we've tagged to auto-load. So which gems to use, you'll probably find out when things start breaking, and also in anything which has an initializer that'll need to require. But what you'll find is that by just requiring a lot of gems at runtime rather than initialization time, you'll reduce your Rails load time quite significantly. So lastly, here's another example. This is a more fully fledged app that we've got. So we can see we're setting up the groups here, and then further down we're auto-loading auto-load. For our assets, we're automatically loading assets, and we're also loading any auto-load underscore group. So we've gotten even more explicit with our auto-loading, and we can have auto-load development or auto-load test, auto-load this, auto-load that, which allows us to be even more granular with our auto-loading. So give it a try, and hopefully you'll be able to reduce your Rails startup time.